All right, welcome everyone. My name is Sia Karamalegos, and I'm excited to talk to you today about creating social share images using Cloudinary. So, in case you're wondering, oh, I forgot. This is me. I also like doing creative things. I made this costume as a champagne bottle. Um, but you can find out all about me on co.codes. I'm a web dev and actually web performance engineer. So I work a lot in web performance, but I still build things on the web. And I love Eleventy because, we can build our own sites and most of the little sites I build nowadays I use Eleventy because it's just so easy. The slides are deployed on Netlify, and I'll share this link in the chat when I'm done and also in the Discord. All right, so what do I mean by social share images? So this is this is actually a screenshot from the Eleventy Discord. So when I post a link to any of the pages on my site, it automatically shows this share image where you see it says like Sia.codes. I guess it's kind of like my logo. And then a confetti background and the title and description of the post, for example. On other pages, I think it will do the title of the page and like the meta description. So this is what it looks like. It's kind of cool. I feel like it kind of makes your website a little bit sharper. So I asked in the last meetup if people would be interested in learning how I built this because it's a nice way to, I don't know, add a little upgrade to your personal site. Or if it's a non-personal site, it's also kind of like a professional way to share things. I think links that unfurl in this way get a bit more interaction than maybe ones that don't have any. All right, so what is Cloudinary? Cloudinary is an image and video CDN and API platform. They don't add the CDN part, but for me, it started as a CDN, so I still call it that. I love it because it makes responsive images easier. I have this other article on my blog. All these are links, so when you look at the slides, you can click on these. This is a talk on my blog, and I actually use Cloudinary on my personal site to do responsive images. And I'll say the thing that makes this super cool is this auto format, so I don't need to worry about generating all these images. I just upload one original image, and then all the rest is, automatically transformed and cached on a CDN. But what you're probably wondering, especially if you're going to do this for your personal site, is like, what is the price? So I'm just going to show you, and I'm also going to show you like what these credits mean. So there is a free tier, and at least for me, like I'm still under the free tier, although there's a caveat to this, which I'll talk about in a second. So essentially you get 25 monthly credits. What are a monthly credit? It's a combination of so each credit is like a combination of either image, video, processing. So like transformations, it has to transform your images, right? Like convert a JPEG to an AVIF or something like that. Storage, so just like how much storage you're using, and bandwidth, like how many times the images are being accessed. So you get 25 in the free tier, and then I want to show you the free tier, but I have 87 credits. And I got this because I wrote that article about Cloudinary, and then I was like, oh, if you want to support me, here's my if you create an account, I think it's here. You see, like, share with a friend. If you share that link, you can get more credits. And I actually have a slide on this. So what I would encourage y'all to do, and I know Rachel joined, she's from Cloudinary, but I'm like, just, share amongst yourselves, and Rachel, pretend you didn't hear me say that. But maybe one of you creates an account and you share the link and you can get a few extra credits. But anyways, the other thing is, if we look here, here's like how much I've used this month. And I'm only used like 1.92 credits. And my blog, Sia.codes, gets a decent amount of traffic. And then I actually use it for a few other websites, but that website probably gets the most traffic right now and the most images. So I don't know. I'm well within my free tier, even if I didn't have all those extra credits. Anyways, so definitely try it out. Don't be afraid to. I've used it for years and it's amazing. But this is that free tier hack. You can get up to 60 additional credits. So yeah. So I want to share prior art because I basically built all of this using Jason Langsdorff's article from a long time ago, automatically generate social share images. I think he's using a different setup. So I modified it to use Eleventy shortcodes. And but most of what I'm talking about here is like, even if you don't use Eleventy, you can use the core concepts and apply it in different ways. So like whatever site you're building. But yeah. All right. So what are we actually building? What we are building is we want a JPEG image output. Like, so I think for share images, they should usually be in JPEG because you want to support like as many different platforms as possible. And I don't know if they all have modern they all allow modern formats, right? Because this isn't like traditional browsers. This is all sorts of like, it's Discord, it's Slack, it's um, I guess X, if you use X, Mastodon. Sorry, that was a little judgmental. You know, like all the different platforms. But anyways, so we're building this image and there's different aspects, right? There's like the part that doesn't change, which I call like this background image. So it's like, you know, the Sia codes, the confetti, the little lines. But then I have this dynamic text, right? I have the title and the description or subtitle. So yeah, we have title, subtitle, the underlying graphic, and then you could add other things, right? Like you can add other bits of text, you can add other images, you can do a lot of things, and I'm going to kind of explain how it works. So we're essentially going to learn about how these images are generated with with Cloudinary using URLs and how to add layers essentially. And then you can apply that in any way you want. So that underlying graphic, that's just an image, and it's an image with these dimensions. The title is it's a text overlay in a layer, and you can see it's like positioned kind of upward, right? And then the subtitle, I've had it text, but you know, a different style, positioned a little bit downwards. And I'm using a custom font here. All right. So this is what the URL that generates this image. It's a lot. So this part right here, this points to the image. I think the V16, I think that's like a folder or something. I don't know. And then it points to my Sia.codes folder within. Oh, maybe this is my account and this is my folder and that's the image. I'm going to show how I'm going to build this using a function. And then all the rest of this is transformation, right? There's a core transformation. You don't have to remember this because I'm going to go through it. I think it's that part. I don't actually know. We're going to do this and then we'll see what it is. And then it's like the additional layers. So it's like you just keep adding things to the URL to build your image. All right, so let's go through this. So for your underlying graphic, stage 1, I cannot help you design this, but you can, I would recommend like start drawing on paper to come up with ideas, or you can copy someone else's design and modify it to make your own. I think I kind of did the same general thing maybe Jason did originally, which is like a logo on the left and then text up and down. But there's, you know, there's all sorts of designs. And then you can just put your text where you want it to be. And I'm going to show you how we position that because that's kind of like the trickiest part for me. The dimensions that worked for me were 1280 by 640. I think I tried some other dimensions and it kept getting cut off. This was a long time ago, so I was on Twitter. And it was like Twitter images were, I don't know, slightly different or something, or they didn't work and it cut off weird. So I changed it to 1280 by 640 and that's worked for me so far. That might not be correct if you go and Google something and it says something else, but I'm just telling you what I use and I haven't had to change it. So this is like real professional, right? Sometimes it takes more work to like look up how you should do something versus like just see if it works. I've realized this in my coding career. I don't know if y'all have. Like, I don't know, let's try to break it. So text overlays. What we need is, of course, the actual text content. You want to know which font to use and also if there's styling changes, how to size the text, what size of the font as well, and how to position that text. So now we're going to go on a side quest to talk about positioning because this was the most confusing part to me. So what Cloudinary uses, they call it gravity. It's a way you can do different kinds of positioning. This links to this demo that I'm going to show you. So the default, I think the default positioning is center. So you can see we have this image and it's in the center, and X and Y are 0. So if I change X to 50, it will move it to the right. If I change Y to 50, it moves it down, which is a little bit weird to me, but you know, whatever, that's fine. If I change the gravity to, let's say, northwest, so this is cardinal direction. So north is up here, south, west, east. So northwest, where do we think that's going to be if I change that to 0, 0? I won't make you say it. It's going to be in the upper left corner. So now if I change X 50 and Y 50, or let's do one at a time, X 50, it goes right 50 and Y goes down. So if I change this to southwest, so this corner, it's similar, but now, so the X is the same, like positive goes this way, but Y now counts up from the bottom. And you can do all of the different cardinal directions. So if we think about this, it can help us position the text so it won't overlap. Like I forgot if that's my next slide. Yeah. So remember that I have both a title and subtitle, and we don't want to overlap those. So if we have this constraint, what might we want to do? So remember the title was up here and the subtitle was down here. So you might be thinking, oh, northwest for the title and southwest or whatever, something similar for the subtitle, but that can lead to overlap, right? Because text flows down. So what you can do instead is you can use southwest for the title. So let me change this, like, I don't know. Well, I had X, let's say 200, because I'm positioning X so it doesn't overlap the logo. But why? I don't know. You can also do percents, but this tool doesn't do the percents well. Oh God. Okay, 150 is the size of the thing. That's interesting. It helps if you don't do that. Oh, it's like, sorry, this is the limitation of the tool. This isn't the limitation of real life. So I should probably just describe this and not do it this way. But what if we do southwest, it's essentially giving us a lower bound, right? Like the text is not going to go below this. So that we actually want southwest for our title. And then even though this is in the wrong place for this example that I'm telling you, and then northwest for the subtitle, because it gives you the upper limit for that. That's what I have here. So we use southwest so that our Y offset starts from the bottom so that it never goes below that, like the text doesn't wrap below that, that offset. And then our subtitle is going to be northwest with the Y offset from the top so that it doesn't ever go above. All right. Whew. So building the image, so the base image, and I'll give you the file for this too. So there's a lot of different components to this, and I'm actually showing you the variables so that you'll kind of understand where you would plop things in. So we have the height and width of the image, and you can see these are essentially the descriptors in the URL, but we dump in the width and the height, and then I use QAuto best, probably because Jason did that. So there's a default quality, and this is better than the default, which kind of makes sense because if we go back to this image, I think this was a full-size image, and at least on my screen, I can see it, like it's not great, but it's not terrible, but most of those things unfurl smaller, so it makes sense to me that this is the quality. You can experiment with a lower quality image, but the quality might not be as good. For most things, I usually do QAuto, not best, because I'm making sure my width and height fit. Now I'm drifting into performance space. I make sure the width and height match the DPR of a screen, or the device pixel ratio. But we will save that for another talk. And then C is the crop. So C fill means fill without distortion. So the image might be cropped. And then format JPEG, because we want to make sure that we these non-browsers will support the image type. One reason I love Cloudinary and actually any image CDN is almost all of them have like an F auto. So this means I don't have to write a complex picture tag to provide like AVIF, WebP, JPEG images. I just do F auto and Cloudinary figures out the rest. So it's like one of my favorite reasons why to use an image CDN. So you just don't have to worry about that. And then we just join all these bits of text together, which I could have done it in one long thing, but I don't know, this helps you see how it goes. So it looks like this, and we don't really need to understand that as long as we know we need to dump in our height and width. Now the title layer, we have a few other things in here. We have the width of like the text area or the text box, and how we're gonna, the crop, remember C is crop, but this is resize to fit. So it won't crop, but it will maintain the aspect ratio. It'll just fit within that text area width. The color of the text that we want, the gravity, and then X and Y are the offsets using that gravity. So we can see I have the left offset, which makes sense, right? Because there's a logo to the left. And then bottom offset, because we want to make sure the title doesn't drift into our tagline. And then what the actual text is. And so this is the font. And did I note it here? So you need to put the font at the root of your Cloudinary media library, or you'll have to prepend it with a folder name. So you dump in like your WAF2 font in your Cloudinary media library, which I can just show you what it looks like. If I can figure out where to click. Let's go in. Wait. Oh yeah, I thought it was this. It just didn't do anything the first time I clicked it. Nope, that's not it. Assets, that would make sense. And then if I go to, actually, I'll go to folders. So here's my two fonts. You see Recursive Sans, Extra Bold, WAF 2, and then that's regular WAF 2. So I use bold for the title and regular for the other one. If I had them in a subfolder, then I'd have to prepend it with that. So you can see here's actually, I organize in folders. So like these are all the images for my Sia.code sites, but then I use other sites on here as well. All right. So what actual font you're going to use and the font size. So we can see it ends up being like Recursive Sans, Extra Bold, WAF 2, size 60, and then the safe text version of the title text. So what is this function that I did? It's encode URI component, but I had to do a few different replacement things because of special characters. This is a help article about this, or a support article. You can read through that if you want to know why. And I actually forgot which characters these might be, but anyways. So it's mostly encode URI component, but with a few modifications. All right. So subtitle layer is very similar, but remember we switched our gravity to northwest, and yeah, and that's it. And you know, here's the output of that. So we put it all together. Here's my base URL. You can see I have a cloud name, so that's whatever it was on the original one. I forgot. Oops. Yeah, it's it's probably a little bit confusing because that might be my cloud name, but it's also a folder within my cloud thing. So I should probably not say that. There's a cloud name, and then bring it all together. It's base URL plus image config slash title config slash tagline config slash if you have it in a folder. So remember I have it in that subfolder and that share image file name. So we're just building a URL, you know, stringing text together. And then I wrap all of that in a function that essentially outputs this. I actually don't have a const share image. I just like, I think I just return that or something like that. But I have a function that's in my shortcodes folder. And then I use it in this way. I'm giving you the full like OG part of my, this is my base layout so that you can see kind of how it works together. Because you should have these anyways, right? So you want, well, the OG title, which is like your title, render title is the title that I use for each page, and render description. You might have some, mine is actually more complex to this because I also have a shorter version of a description if my description got too long. But and I handle that a different way. URL, actually this should be, I should maybe do that differently. That's actually, I don't actually know. I'm gonna look at that later. I'm like, this should probably be the URL of the page, but I'm gonna research that and get back to you on that. Title, and then here's like the image. And of course you have to also give the image type, width, and height, this metadata about it. So here's my shortcode function, whatever you want to call it. And then I pass it the render title and the render description, and it generates that big ugly URL that outputs the image. So I have links to the full shortcode file and my base layout file. This shortcode file has like it's actually probably all my Cloudinary stuff. It's also how I come up with my source sets for my images throughout it. But then, so this function social image URL is going to be the main part if you're only looking for this stuff, and then you can ignore the rest of the get source set. And then the base layout, so you can see how those parts work. All right, so that's it. That's my talk. Yay, I came in under 30 minutes. I wanted to make sure I did that. Let me dump this in here. Oh, I see there's some chat in the chat. I'm gonna go through those, but feel free to also ask more questions. Oh yeah, Rachel dumped in. More info about Cloudinary's credits here. Lol, it's cool. So a 3-line title is 1 line higher up the image than a 2-line. Yes, yeah. So to clarify that, because like it can vary a lot. If we go to, I'm still sharing my screen, right? So if I go to like Sia.codes, blog, and I need to go further down because not all of those. Of course, these aren't my actual share images. Is there like a header image? So like some, you can see like, oh, I have this, it's a very short title and a longer description, but this is a long title and a longer description. Some of these I'll have a short description instead. Like if it was particularly long, I was like, ooh, no, let's look and see. So I can go and inspect the head and grab this. Let's see if I changed that description. Oops, because it was getting to be too much on the image. Yeah, this is shorter than what I actually use in that snippet. Because it was just like, people don't want to read a whole paragraph here. And my title looks like a whole paragraph, but you know, whatever. I'll have to catch the, oh yeah. Belated bye, Bob. Oh, yeah. So Simon posted in the chat. I think you're saying like the URL should be like the full URL, not just I don't know why that I should not have hard coded. I think it should be the page URL. I think Simon's agreeing with that statement. You can also clarify. Thank you, Simon. It's funny when you're like presenting, you're like, I don't think that's correct. It's your own code. Although, I mean, my page works. I think it's just like, you know, I'm hinting kind of the wrong thing to share sites. And then I posted my slides. All right. Oh yeah, so any other questions? I'm happy to answer about this, or, you know, how I use Cloudinary in general too.